Reconvening at 7 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance. Item number 5. Ms. Pierce, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Roll call will show that all board members are present either in person or virtually. Just making sure. Ms. Jonathan, are you on?
I am. Yes, I am.
All right, thank you. All cabinet members are present except for Ms. Fisher. And moving on to item number 7, approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 7th, 2022?
So moved. Patricia Pierce.
Is there a second?
Second, Linda Porras.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 7th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstention? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item number 8, board meeting addenda. Superintendent Bailey, is there any addenda to the agenda?
We have none. Stay tuned, we may have one, actually. Okay, we will be pulling 19.9 off the agenda this evening.
All right, let me cross that off. 19.9, just double checking, okay? All right. Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda of the regular meeting of June 21st, 2022 with the additions and deletions?
Yes, moved by Tricia Pierce.
Is there a second?
Second, Linda Porras.
It has been moved and seconded to approve tonight's agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item number 10, community staff student recognition. Superintendent Bailey.
Yes, this evening I'm going to invite Jan Diaz up for the communications office. Unfortunately, Mary Perry is not with us this evening. She's home recovering from an injury. So, Jan, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. To open up our recognitions this evening, I'd like to welcome representatives from VFW Post 3699 here to recognize their 21-22 Voice of Democracy Scholarship winner, who is Lauren Fimbres from Shadow Hills High School, and Teachers of the Year, Marissa Baumgartner, grades K-5 from Johnson Elementary, Timothy Stange from Desert Ridge Academy, and Amy Osman from Shadow Hills High School.
Good evening, everybody. I want to see how many here are educators. Raise your hand. Okay. I know when I went to school, the teachers would always say, sit at the front of the class, not the back of the class. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I just want to explain a couple things that we do as a VFW. First, I'd like to thank the sign language lady that's on the screen, and thank you for what you do. It's important that we have a lot of people like you and more people out there, so we appreciate you. Voice of Democracy, there's nearly 65,000 students in grades 9 through 12 that enter the Voice of Democracy Audio Essay Scholarship. So we're very glad to present our Voice of Democracy. And we also have a Patriots pin that we do. We have many scholarships for students that are available through the VFW. Thank all the educators and thank you for what you do. We like to keep patriotic and Americanism alive in our schools, and that's what we're here to do. So on behalf, I'm going to introduce my commander, Lenny, and he's going to announce the awards.
Good evening, everyone. Our first award is going to Marissa Bumgarner, who is not here tonight, but Mr. Fisher is here to accept it for her. Our next teacher is Ami Osman, Shadow Hills High School. No, we shouldn't. Okay. From Desert Ridge Academy, Timothy Strange.
Thank you for promoting citizenship too.
This is in recognition of promoting citizenship. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and here's a pen.
Now for our Voice of Democracy winner. This is a student. For Notice of Democracy, Certificate of Merit presents to Lauren Frimbries from Shadow Hills High School, an outstanding spokesperson for freedom. Lauren? Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you, Lauren. Very good job.
This is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the nice presentations. And as an added surprise, we would like to share a video from our recent Foundation Gala, at which Superintendent Scott Bailey received recognition as the DSUSD Staff Member Honoree.
Bailey, Scott Bailey, the Superintendent of the Desert Sands Unified School District.
Agent 00 Soup, also known as Scott Bailey, is a man who needs little introduction. Having started his career in education 32 years ago in Missouri, he has risen through the ranks, across states and across positions, to become the superintendent of the Desert Sands Unified School District in 2017, serving for a record of 5 years. Scott has worked tirelessly with his vast network of friends, colleagues, students, and families to ensure an equitable and meaningful educational experience for all. A master of disguise and the art of the undercover operation, watch out for his winning smile and get ready to give him one great round of applause. Scott Bailey.
Well, President Conover, it looks like Superintendent Bailey has one last assignment.
It is a dangerous one. It's called retirement. Mr. Bailey, would you like to join us down here? This is your assignment. If you would like to accept it. it feels like we've been saying goodbye for the longest time. It's like, this is your last board meeting. We want to thank you for everything that you have done for Desert Sands. In the 5+ years that you've been here, you've accomplished quite a bit, and you've seen us through one of the most difficult times anybody has ever seen. So for that, we thank you. You did leave it better than what you found it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bailey.
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks. This is very unexpected. Retirement was expected, however. 32 years. I certainly want to thank my wife first and foremost, who was here for the first board meeting in April of 2017. She said she would be here for the last board meeting as I retire. So welcome, Mrs. Bailey in the back row. And I want to thank, obviously, the students, the staff, the parents, the community partners that have been so gracious to the school district and allowed me such an awesome opportunity to lead such a prestigious school district. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I wish the district very well in my absence under Dr. Kelly May Vollmer as the incoming superintendent effective July 1. So thank you all.
Ms. Pierce?
We have been saying goodbye for a while, and it's just getting real. In the short time, well, he was my superintendent as an employee first, but in the short time I've been a board member, I've looked forward to his help and guidance in a lot of the information and items that we have to look into. And I know that he truly has the kids first, the students first in his mind, and is very open to listening to everyone's ideas and approaches. So I want to thank him for dedicating 32 years of his life to education, and I will miss his joking and his good attitude and smiles and just a nice person to be around. So thank you.
Ms. Porras?
Well, I don't think you're really going to leave because this is about the 20th time we've said goodbye to you. But anyway, no, I really feel honored and blessed that we have had you as our superintendent for the past 6 years, I thought it was. Anyway, 5, I guess. 5.3. Yeah. But anyway, for every hello that you say to someone, you're going to say goodbye. And I want to just say farewell. We will see you again. This is not goodbye, but I really feel that we were honored to have you, and you definitely made us a better district by being the leader of our district, especially during this difficult time that you did not expect, none of us expected. But anyway, it's been a pleasure, and I wish you all the best and love on that baby and spend more time with Nan. Now you'll be cooking dinner for her, so. But anyway, it's really been a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you. Ms. Jonathan?
I remember when I first saw your resume when we were considering a replacement for a superintendent over 5 years ago. And I saw your resume and my eyes popped out and I said, oh my goodness, if he's as good as he looks on paper, this is the person for our district. And then I went to, we went to interview you and you said, we may be a gold standard, but you're going to make us the platinum standard. And you've done that. Scott, you have put us on track to be literally one of the best districts in the country. They look at us in a totally different way than other districts. The way we were prepared for when COVID hit. Unfortunately, that's not something you want to necessarily be happy about, but we were. Not happy that COVID hit, but happy that we were prepared. And it was truly flawless when it came to having devices in hand and connectivity. And I hope our community and our families know that was not the case for most districts across the country. So we were really sitting in a very good spot, and you were the one that had that vision, and it made it all happen. And I can't thank you enough for your leadership and what you've done for our district. As a brand new grandparent, and you as a brand new grandparent, I so understand why you want to be with your grandchild and spend some quality time with her as well as your wife. Nan deserves truly an award for what the time that you've put into our district, specifically during these rough years during COVID. Again, you were working, I don't even want to guess how many hours you were working a day. And you will truly be missed. You've touched so many people across this valley and in our district, our teachers, our staff. You've imprinted yourself in our district, and it will never quite be the same because of what you've done and helped our district become. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And we're moving on to item number 11, introduction of new or recently promoted employees. Superintendent Bailey.
Actually, I'm going to defer to Dr. Hyde.
Thank you so much. I'm excited. I have 4 announcements to make today, and I'd like to start by introducing Ruby Barrero, educational psychologist. Ruby Barrero earned her Bachelor's of Arts degree in psychology with a minor in religious studies from the University of California at Riverside. She earned her Master of Science degree in counseling psychology and pupil personnel services credential from the California State University at Northridge. Since 2015, Ms. Barrero has been a nationally certified school psychologist. Ms. Morrow has been working with students of all ages in different capacities for the last 15 years. Before becoming a school psychologist, she worked with children as a behavior therapist, volunteered as a classroom aide for a non-public school, mentored high school students, planned community service events for college students, and more. She states that she has the opportunity to volunteer and work with leaders throughout her life who have helped guide her to where she is today. As an English language learner herself, she has a strong desire to ensure student cultural differences are acknowledged and understood when making decisions about multilingual students' education. Ms. Barrero has lived in the San Diego area for the past 7 years, but is looking forward to returning to Coachella Valley, where she grew up. Ms. Barrero attended our very own Van Buren Elementary School from grades 1st through 5th, and then went on to play tennis for Desert Mirage High School at a neighboring school district. Most of her free time is now dedicated to doing fun activities with her son and family. Ms. Barrero would like to acknowledge her family, husband, almost 2-year-old son, and her cat Iris. She states she is so excited to work alongside such an amazing team and is thrilled to be back in Desert Sands Unified School District. Welcome, Mrs. Barrero. I'm not sure if you're here today. Please step up to the dais, please, just for a moment, so we can welcome you properly. So I just wanted to welcome you, and do you have, if you wanted to say a few words and maybe introduce any guests that may have attended with you today?
I'm just grateful to be back in the desert. I am excited to work in the school district where I grew up. I have a lot of fond memories of being in Van Buren Elementary School, and I just look forward to working with everybody here. So thank you.
Thank you. And as I make the announcements, if you could step up to the dais, that'll probably smooth things along since we have multiple introductions. I am very pleased to introduce Jessica Morrow, Principal, Kennedy Elementary School. Jessica Morrow earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in teaching, as well as her teaching credential from California State University, San Marcos. She then earned a computer science and education authorization from California State University at Riverside. followed by a master's in education with an emphasis in teaching English learners from National. And most recently, her administrative credential from the Riverside County Office of Education. She's also a nationally board certified teacher in English as a new language. Mrs. Morrow began her teaching career with Palm Springs Unified over 15 years ago. She served as a teacher both in elementary and secondary school sites, ASB director, teacher on special assignment for math, and instructional coach. In 2016, she took a promotion as the assistant principal of Thomas Jefferson Middle School. During her time there, the school saw a number of positive changes, including bringing the HERO anti-bullying program on board, a more than 50% decline in the number of referrals issued over year after year, and more positive clubs and activities for students on campus. 2 years later, she returned to Palm Springs Unified as the principal of Julius Corsini Elementary, while she describes her time at Julius Corsini as amazing, having seen so many positive changes year after year. Her heart belongs to the students of Indio, and she is excited to get to work for the team at John F. Kennedy Elementary. Among her accomplishments are being named Teacher of the Year, Julius Corsini Elementary, Employee of the Month, Palm Springs Unified, Desert Springs Middle School, PTA Community Coalition Award, Julius Corsini Elementary, Rising Star Award recipient, efforts made for the students with special needs at Julius Corsini, Coachella Valley Masonic Lodge Educational Excellence Award, and the Riverside Medical Clinic Charitable Foundation Hero Program Administrator of the Year. Mrs. Morrow loves to cook and find new recipes. Her focus lately has been finding things her toddler will eat and the many different foods that you can prepare in nugget form so he thinks he's eating a chicken nugget. Mrs. Morrow would like to thank Margot McCormick, Lupe Maris, Emily Valenzuela for teaching her so much during her time at Jefferson Middle School. She would also like to acknowledge Kayla Jimenez for mentoring her since the beginning, as well as her husband Billy and their son Davis for being so understanding and always understanding and supporting her. Congratulations, Jessica. Welcome to Desert Sands Unified, or I should say welcome back.
I'm so excited to be back. Thank you so much to the entire board for this incredible opportunity. I cannot tell you how wonderful and friendly everybody has been, just so welcoming. All the welcome home messages have just, they've made my heart so happy. I am so thrilled to show you all of the good work that this amazing team is going to do as we continue to push the ball down the line at Kennedy. It's going to be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, next I'm pleased to announce Jeffrey White, mental health therapist. Mr. White, please come up to the dais. So Jeffrey White received his Bachelor's of Art degree in anthropology from the University of California, Santa Cruz, and his Master's of Arts degree in counseling psychology from the California Institute of Integral Studies in San Francisco. Mr. White is a licensed marriage and family therapist with over a decade of experience working with both children and families. Mr. White has worked in many settings, including community mental health, public health, private practice, and in schools as a special education therapist. Mr. White is passionate about working with adolescents and their families. He has additional training in psychiatry, neuroscience, child therapy, mindfulness, and family therapy. Mr. White is very excited to join Page Middle School and the DUS team. Welcome to the school district, sir.
Thank you very much to the board. Thank you very much to Ms. Verber. I look forward to joining Page Middle School and the Desert Sands Unified School District family. Thank you so much.
I think we've got one more.
I think we do.
Okay. So I've saved, certainly saving the, I don't know about the best for last, but someone who I definitely am fond of. I am very enthusiastic and pleased to announce Dr. Marcus Wood is the next Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. Marcus Wood earned his Bachelor's of Science degree from Eastern Oregon University, his Master's degree from Eastern Oregon University, and a second Master's from California State University at San Bernardino, his educational doctorate from the University of La Verne. Dr. Wood is a product of the Pacific Northwest. Born and raised in northwestern Oregon, he toiled on the family farm growing up and worked his way through college while working full-time at a local lumber mill. Dr. Wood taught high school economics in the Bay Area for 2 years before transitioning in 2000 to the desert, where he taught at both La Quinta Middle School and John Glenn Middle School for 4 years. He was then promoted as assistant principal, serving at Earhart Elementary, John Glenn, and Page Middle Schools. In 2007, Dr. Wood was appointed as principal of John Glenn Middle School, and in 2012, he was appointed to the principal of Shadow Hills High School. 5 years ago, Dr. Wood was appointed as the Senior Director in Educational Services. He acknowledges that he had the great fortune to work with an incredible staff at both John Glenn Middle School, Shadow Hills High School, and in Educational Services. And if it were not for the people that he worked with, he would have never experienced the success, nor had the opportunities that have been afforded to him. Dr. Wood was awarded Teacher of the Year, Principal of the Year, and Certificated Administrator of the Year while working in Desert Sands. He was also a county finalist for Certificated Administrator of the Year in 2021. Dr. Wood is a die-hard San Francisco 49ers and Oregon Ducks football fan. He loves watching his teams play and involves the entire family. In addition, you will find Dr. Wood at the gym each morning before work and on the hiking trails a couple of times a week as he completes his 8-mile hike to Bear Creek Oasis in the La Quinta Cove. Dr. Wood would like to acknowledge and thank some key people who have had a very positive impact on his professional career. First and foremost, his wife, Kristen, for unwavering support, and all 5 children who are products of Desert Sands. In addition, Dr. Kelly Mae Vollmer, Dan Miller, Kathy Felci, Carol Farrow, as well as the educational services and support staff. These individuals' leadership and support have been a foundation for Dr. Wood for the past 20 years in Desert Sands. It is with tremendous enthusiasm and genuine just happiness that I welcome you to your new role.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. First to the board, appreciate the vote. Also appreciate the acknowledgments that you sent. Means a lot. To Cabinet, I'm super excited about this opportunity to work with such a dynamic team. Scott, thank you for retiring and opening up the possibility for Kelly and then myself. I appreciate that. Out in the crowd, yes, my wife, Kristen, my 2 daughters Lauren and Kaiden. So we just were thinking about it. This is actually in the last 3 promotions, this is the 3 that always come. So they're first on my list. The boys are always busy working and stuff like that. To my educational services team, Kevin and Lee and Angie and Tiffany, and I know Mike and Mick are watching from afar. Greatly appreciate all their support. And then 2 virtually from Northeastern Oregon. My parents are watching, so I just greatly appreciate their support and appreciate all that they've done and know that they've done a great job. So with that, I'm humbled, I'm excited. We're going to do some great things. Thank you.
And comments from the board, Ms. Pierce?
First of all, I'd like to, they've left already, but the VFW post, Veterans of Foreign Wars, I'd like to thank them for acknowledging the work that they do for democracy and freedom and giving these awards to the teachers that were involved and the student also. Congratulations to that. Also, for the new employees, I'm so happy to see, and it took a pandemic to really push all this, but the mental health, constantly approving new mental health and counselors and therapists for our district is such an important part of the need that the students have and the staff, that the students and staff have in our district. So I want to welcome Ruby Barrero and Jeff White for that. Also to welcome back Jessica Morrow. I didn't know her before, but she came and left and came back again. So congratulations on that. And also to Marcus Wood, congratulations. I like the way you told about the domino effect. Now they're going to have to find somebody for you, and it just keeps moving on. But thank you for all you do, and I think it was a great choice. So,
thank you. Ms. Porras?
Yes, I want to welcome Ms. Barrero and Dr. White? Mr. White. Sorry, we used to do that with Scott all the time. People would call you Dr. Bailey. Anyway. But yes, especially with COVID and everything, we definitely need you at the helm of helping our students with mental health. So it's super, super important, and I'm so happy that you have this position and that you're going to be, I'm sure you're going to do an amazing job. So welcome to the family. And Miss Morrow, I don't know, is she still here? Did she leave? Oh, there she is. Anyway, congratulations. I think that's so awesome, and I love the nugget stories about your kid. That's so cute. Trying to get kids to eat is one thing. Some kids eat everything, and other kids don't eat a thing. But anyway, I'm excited for you to be at Kennedy. And what can we say about Marcus? Oh my gosh, so excited that you're here, and that just to watch the progression of where you've been and where you're going. And I don't know, I kind of think he might be our superintendent one day or something. He's kind of being on the farm, that kind of goes with that, right? But anyway, 49ers, my son-in-law is a hardcore 49ers fan, so oh my gosh, now I'm going to have to watch you be all crazy about it. So, but yes, your family and your wife is a doll. I just love her, and I know that you have the best support from her, and you have lots of support from everybody that knows you and loves you, and so excited for you to be part of the team, and I can't wait to see what this team is going to do going forward. So congratulations.
Thank you. Ms. Jonathan.
Yes, most of it's been said. Again, Ms. Barrero and Mr. White, I just wanted to say congratulations on your new position. Ms. Barrero, it's wonderful to hear somebody that was homegrown is back in our district. That always warms my heart. And for both of you, it's so important, as it's already been stated. Mental health is such an important part right now of our students needing those services. So I'm so happy that you're in our district. Jessica Morrow, I did kind of a similar thing to you. I did my student teaching in Desert Sands, then I went to Palm Springs Unified, and then I went back to Desert Sands to finish off my teaching. So it's nice to see someone doing the ping pong like I did. And I'm so glad that you saw that it's all right in Palm Springs, but you want to reach for the stars and get into Desert Sands, and welcome. And I know you're going to do an incredible job over at Kennedy. And Marcus, when I came on the board, you had just gotten hired at Shadow Hills High School, so I basically knew you as the Shadow Hills High School person, and what you were able to accomplish there. You fit some big shoes very quickly and very easily, and did an incredible job over at Shadow Hills High School. And then on to Educational Services. You didn't miss a beat. And we are in excellent hands having you as our new Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum. I am sure that you're going to be putting in plenty of hours, and I know Kristen, your wife, is involved in our educational services as well, and she has been so supportive of you and your family as well. And I just want to thank them for giving us the time with you on our board, because it will require a lot of time. But I know you're going to do an incredible job. And when you first when I first met you, I thought that's one of those people that he's one of those people you need to watch, because great things are meant for him. And so congratulations, it's well deserved.
Thank you. Superintendent Bailey, any comments?
Yes, as applies, welcome to the family, welcome back to the family, and Dr. Wood, it was the least I could do.
All righty then. I do want to welcome all the new employees, and Dr. Wood, I welcome you up to the dais starting the next board meeting. So congratulations to everybody. And I'm just, it's the least, right? It's the least. All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to item 12, information. There are 3 informational items on the agenda. 12.1, the California School Dashboard Local Indicators, Item 12.2, Indio High School's cheer team's trip to the 2022 USA Summer Cheer Camp in Garden Grove, California. And item 12.3, Indio High School's Roaming Rajas Travel Club educational tour to Iceland. Amazing. I was lucky enough to go with them when they went to Japan in 2019, so I hope they have an amazing time. Moving on to item 13, staff conference items. Superintendent Bailey.
Yes, this one goes to incoming Superintendent Dr. Kelly Mae Vollmer.
Thank you very much. We have a few presentations this evening. We will start with 13.1, which is our Expanded Learning Opportunities Program Plan presentation. And giving this presentation this evening is Jamie Bicus, the supervisor of our ACES program.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Kelly. You know, I should have got instructions on how to work the podium before I got it.
There should be a clicker right there on the...
Oh, got it.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
Hi again, my name is Jamie Bicus, and I am the supervisor for the after-school programs in Desert Sands. You might know it as ACES, After School Education and Safety. Unfortunately, Mick couldn't be here tonight, but joining me is Nelda Esmeralda, sitting in the back over there, who was instrumental in 2007 in the beginning of our after-school programs. And has also helped us develop this plan and program for the expanded learning. Go there? There we go. As always, the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program will align with our vision, our mission, and our values. Embedded in the ELOP are the concepts of access and opportunity. Desert Sands students and families will be offered access to engaging academic and enrichment activities they may not have been able to access before. These program opportunities will be provided in collaboration with our community partners, both on and off campus. Currently, we have 16 ACES programs, 13 elementary, and 3 middle schools. That began, like I said, in the spring of 2007. On an average day, ACES serves 1,400 students per day, and operational minutes are equivalent to up to 90 extra school days. The ELOP funding was created by Assembly Bill 130 and addresses the unduplicated pupil population within our district. Here is the allocation that we've received for the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. On the left is the ACES funding. We received $2.5 million this year. And on the right in the blue, we received $5.9 million for the ELOP funding, and it's expected to grow substantially over the next few years. Here are some of the ELOP requirements. Services are offered to students TK through 6th grade, but we will be offering programs to 7th and 8th grade also, just like we do in ACES. Programs will operate 9 hours a day, and that includes the school day. 30 intercession days will also be offered on weekends, intercession, or summer days. The 30 intercession days are not a individual school requirement, but a district requirement. Community partners will be successful in the implementation. They'll be key to the success of the implementation of the program. Ratios will be maintained at all times. TK is 10-to-1, grades 1 through 6 will be 20-to-1, and meals will be provided on a daily basis. In March, we created a thought exchange to to put out to the community to assess the needs. We received results from 156 participants that included students, parents, teachers, K through 8 principals, advisory groups, and community-based partners. Excuse me. Here are some of the highlights of the responses. The design of the ELOP program is intentional in directly assessing the needs of the community as reflected from the thought exchange. Here are some of the community-based organizations that have expressed interest in collaborating with Desert Sands. Several of these organizations are partners in our ACES programs, including the Desert Recreation District and the Boys and Girls Club of Coachella Valley. Other active partners like the First Tee and Tools for Tomorrow are currently meeting an unmet need of our students. Here are some sustainable factors in regards to the ELOP program. As the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program grows, students' connectedness to their school grows. As ELOP grows, our community partnerships will grow. As ELOP grows, students will have access and opportunity to participate in activities they may not have been able to access before. And I'd be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Okay, Ms. Pierce, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, I remember when the ACES program, I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, wanted all the kids to be busy after school and be able to access that for free. So I always loved that and thought, gosh, wouldn't this be good at every school? And now it finally will be at all elementary and middle schools. And the fact that the activities won't replicate the school day, but be engaging and hands-on and things that kids will really love and learn from. So I love looking at your community partners list. There's a lot of good things I've seen before with the golf and so forth, but even I think one of them is the archery. Archery and
Robin Hood Archery.
And I love the Tools for Tomorrow with the art and everything. So I think the more programs that you get involved, the more partners that you get involved, it'll just grow and be so popular. I understand that we work with Desert Rec Center and the YMCA probably as the partners. And I just want to thank you for the plan that you put together. I mean, the overview, and I'm excited to see it in all the schools.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Porras?
Yes, it's exciting to see all the partners and all the variety for the kids. So I think it's a great program. And so thank you so much for the presentation. I really appreciate looking. I'll look at it again when we have time. But anyway, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Jonathan?
Yes, one of the things when I saw this on the agenda, I'm so happy and relieved to see that, as it was stated already, we've had so many schools in our district that have an ACES program, which is free. But the other schools may have YMCA or some other program, and the students actually have to pay to attend that. And what's exciting about this is that all of our students and all their school at all the different schools will have the opportunity to participate in these before or after school programs with no fee involved. And that's been a really important part, because just because you're at one school site, it doesn't seem fair that one school site gets a first tee and learns how to golf, and then there are other school sites that never get that because they don't have that opportunity and they don't have the program there. So I'm just extremely excited about this program, and I want to thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. We're excited too.
Thank you for the presentation. I do have a couple of questions. So I see that the program is going to be 9 hours. And normally it's traditionally either early in the morning in some of the high schools or after school in the elementaries, middle school. Is it says here 9 hours of program being open, including the school day.
It does. It includes the school day.
What will that look like?
For those schools that want it, they could have a before-school program. So let's say if they opened at 7:30 in the morning, they would simply need to run the 9-hour requirement until 4:30. So they could do a before-school component and add a component after school.
Okay, so will it have any in the middle of the day, though? No, it'll just be, okay, okay.
Before school, after school, weekends, intercession days, summer.
So 30 additional days
Correct.
passed, so it could run conceivably into July. That's amazing. Okay, and the staffing ratio, I do understand that's already set. Do we have like a number that is going to be allotted for each site, or is that individually?
That is yet, you mean the funding?
No, not the funding, but for example, let's say, I know the ratio is 10-1 in TKK.
Correct.
And 1 through 6. So do we have a number like maybe 200 students will be serviced at this site, or is there?
The goal is, by the 23-24 school year, is to serve all unduplicated students at all of our schools.
Okay.
So those numbers would obviously vary school by
change,
school, so
yes.
it's kind of hard to give that number right now.
That's a pretty good number, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, Ms. Pierce has another question.
I should know, but this extended learning opportunity funds, is this state within our state is doing this?
Yes.
It's no federal funding. So I really feel sorry for students in other states that aren't getting, I mean, it's showing that we're investing in our kids, that we want them to have these opportunities in the young ages to have this, and there's many states that are there other states that have set up these type things?
I am not aware of that at this time.
Really?
I'm not aware of that. I mean, they might have had that opportunity, but not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Well, thank
This
you.
puts California way above. I mean, the money in California, you can take the rest of the country and put it together, and it's a percentage of what California is investing.
Okay, thank you.
Presentation.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And okay, we're moving on to item 13.2, Multilingual Learning Master Plan Presentation. Dr. May Vollmer.
Yes, thank you so much. So for our second presentation this evening, Ed Services has been very busy over the last few weeks. Dr. Angela Randolph will be coming up to give the presentation. She's the Director of State and Federal Programs.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Bailey, and Cabinet. Tonight I'm going to provide a brief overview of our Multilingual Learner Master Plan, including the contents as well as the process. As we all know, the passage of Proposition 58, the English Learner Roadmap Policy, as well as the Global California 2030, in the last several years, these initiatives and legislation were passed, and this process allows us to incorporate all of those developments as we move forward to ensure that we are up to date. At present, English learners, that term is used in federal legislation and court cases, but in our case, we have decided to uphold the term multilingualism so that we can celebrate our kids and their potential for multilingualism as they come to us and bring with them all of their assets. As we move into this multilingual learner master plan, we looked at 4 goals that were recommended to us as we worked with the Center for Equity for English Learners from Loyola Marymount University. And these 4 recommended goals highlighted creating equitable, coherent, and sustainable systems for our English learners, and to ensure that we build LEA-wide capacity so that we could ensure and leverage our English learners' assets and address any specific needs that they have. We also know with any English learner program, it's essential to have an effective family-community partnership, as well as a tight accountability system to ensure English learner success. So on the right-hand side, as I pull up here, we had excerpts. When you look at this plan, you'll see excerpts from our new superintendent's letter that uplift those components of the goals. So we as a system are going to ensure that we have clear guidance through this process for the linguistic and educational needs of our English learners. The next, let's see, the master plan, the timeline. We started back in 2019. And at first what we did was we created an English learner advisory committee, and we had a lead team in state and federal projects. So as a team of 6, the project facilitators and I, along with the Center for Equity for English Learners, they call themselves SEAL for short, we ended up having advisory committee meetings for the past 3 years. During that process, we did a comprehensive needs assessment. We looked at data, we conducted parent surveys and staff surveys to identify the highest needs as everyone saw it, as all the educational partners saw the program and gave input. We looked at that. During the process, we had intended to do classroom observations, and it actually started, and then the pandemic hit. We moved forward. Obviously, we couldn't do that, but we moved forward with the process. And as you can see on the left-hand side, phase 1 was the planning and preparation, which I just described, to identify the needs, the educational partner input, drafting and reviewing. In addition to the advisory committee members, we had multiple subcommittees that really delved into components that we needed to get additional input from other stakeholders throughout our district. And then we worked on constantly revising our plan, and then tonight we bring forward to you for approval the final plan. So this slide and these words represent our final advisory committee meeting. We asked each participant to list one word which represents to them what this process meant to them and how they felt at the end. Equity obviously is one of the largest words there. Takeoff, the takeoff is taking off now that we have the plan done, the implementation phase. Also, I think is important to highlight words like hallelujah, relief, because it was a very intense process. But we're very hopeful, and we know we're very committed to providing equity for our multilingual learners. This slide highlights the 9 chapters, which represent the components that are required to incorporate into a plan. And I'm going to briefly walk through each of these chapters to show or share with you some of the components or the highlights. First of all, it's really important to note that we developed this plan, and it is aligned with the California English Learner Roadmap policy. So at the very beginning of each chapter, and you're going to see on the slides that are coming up, when we highlight the chapter, we also, to the right, highlight the alignment to the English Learner Roadmap. Also important is that this plan was built on, has a very strong theoretical foundation based on social, cultural, and social linguistic approaches, as well as scaffolds for English learners. It's very heavily based on research, and so it discusses or it addresses cognitive and linguistic development of our students, as well as primary language instruction and effective practices. The pictures are from the California Department of Ed, has publications that we researched and incorporated important components that were in those documents that aligned with ours. Finally, at the end of every chapter, what we have is the federal program monitoring, the English learner program monitoring instrument, and the elements that align. The program dimensions you see on your far left. Last year, when we had our federal program monitoring and we had 0 findings, we adhered to all of these dimensions here and all the components which are within those dimensions. So at the very end of each chapter, we highlight that alignment. So looking at chapter 2, for example, it talks about the identification of a student, everything from when a student enrolls for their home language survey to the placement of the student, well, the LPAC first, and assuming they're eligible and they're placed as an English learner, the reclassification process is also addressed in this chapter. You'll note that at the final component of the key content in every chapter, we have considerations for English learners with disabilities. So we know that that's an area that we're focusing on. We have been very strongly addressing the needs of our students that are duly identified, and moving forward, it's something we've highlighted in this document. Chapter 3 addresses the programs that we have. Structured English immersion is the default program in the state of California as a result of Proposition 58. As you know, when I presented in May, I spoke about the dual language immersion program. That's also a program that we have. What we've uplifted to is our pathways to syllabi literacy, as well as newcomer support, and as I mentioned, how we can address the needs of English learners with disabilities. The next chapter is English language development. ELD, as we all know it as, is core. It's just like a math, just like a class. If you're an English learner, this is a core class for you. And so this chapter outlines the designated ELD requirements, as well as grouping, the language appraisal team that's required in every school to address the needs and looking at the progress of our English learners. Chapter 5 is addressing access to core curriculum, which is our integrated ELD program. What we like to say is that every teacher is an ELD teacher. If you have a student in your class who is an English learner, every educator is obligated to scaffold instruction and provide access to the core. So ELD is not just a class that they are separately going to, rather it is strategies throughout the day in addition to that designated ELD. But how are we scaffolding our instruction? How are we ensuring that those students can be on grade level and understand the other content areas? On Chapter 6 is Student Progress Monitoring Benchmarks. So this is looking at what we expect of our students throughout the years, depending on when they arrive, as far as what level, if they're a newcomer versus if they're an LTEL, a long-term English learner. And this also addresses Spanish language achievement. Chapter 7 is dealing with the overall program evaluation. So it's an English learner program and services. There are so many components to an English learner program. So therefore, just like we experienced last year and in previous years where we've had a federal program monitoring review, we have to evaluate our program, submit that to the state, and when they either physically visit us or review our information online, they're looking at our own evaluation of our program. In Chapter 8, Staffing and Professional Learning, this deals with staffing, EL authorizations, professional learning for our teachers, as well as administrators. Finally, our ninth chapter deals with family school partnerships. So we want to ensure that we have authentic and meaningful partnerships with our parents. This chapter pertains to ELAC and DLAC, as well as the overall framework and monitoring our engagement for our work with our EL families. This chapter this slide highlights, we were invited to present when the Center for Equity for English Learners this past year did a multitude of trainings on the English Learner Master Plan. So they had an institute, and our district was invited to present. And there were over 347 districts that attended, which represents 45 counties in the state of California. We were selected because of where we stand in this process, that we are one of the few districts so far to align this plan with the English Learner Roadmap policy, and also our collaborative approach, our iterative process of writing chapters, reviewing chapters among a multitude of educational partners to ensure that we saw and were incorporating the views and the ideas from a multitude of people. This is just, Maya Angelou reminded us in 2021, and this is in the acknowledgement section of the plan, that, quote, "We should all know that diversity makes for a rich tapestry, and we must understand that all the threads of the tapestry are equal in value, no matter what their color." So our efforts to ensure that students can see themselves in the tapestries of their classes, their schools, and their communities make this work of great significance. It's a very important piece of work. Last, I would like to thank all of the advisory committee members. We had teachers, paraprofessionals, administrators. We had also the directors on the educational services team, as well as interdepartmental directors giving input into the components of all of these chapters. So although it took us a few years to complete the process, it was very thorough, and we ensured that we incorporated all the voices that we possibly could. That concludes my presentation, pending any questions.
Thank you. Ms. Pierce, do you have any comments or questions?
Thank you for your presentation. I think it was a very good presentation in that it showed clearly how you were aligning it to that roadmap that had been around for a while, and to make this plan in one place. I remember wanting to know, there were questions I had at PDs, 4 or 5 years ago, and well, what does the EL plan say? We knew, and so this is all tied in and makes it clear. I especially like the family community partnership. I know at some schools I've been at, our bilingual clerical person would always organize events and things to bring in those families and make them feel welcome, and give them the information and things that they needed. So thank you for your report.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ms. Porras?
So impressive. Wow, it's just so detailed. It's amazing. So, but I also love the fact that you're incorporating the families, because that's where everything really matters, is at home, and that they feel included and understand really what's going on. So, but this is great, and to be chosen to be, that is so impressive. So, yes, this is excellent work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jonathan?
Yes, thank you for the report. It was excellent. And, as I mentioned when we acknowledged Superintendent Bailey earlier, it's just one more example about what a great job our district has done, and how we're cutting edge, and we're making sure that we're ahead of everything as opposed to behind the 8 ball. So I just want to say thank you for making sure that we're really on top of things, and making sure that we continue to be that stellar district, and making and having our programs and everything aligned the way it should be and before everybody else.
Thank you. Dr. Randolph, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have item 13.3, Universal Pre-Kindergarten Plan Presentation. Dr. May Vollmer.
All right, so as Dr. Rallian is approaching the podium and Dr. Randolph is taking her seat, I just want to really quickly echo a couple of things that she said. She was pretty humble in her acknowledgement, but Dr. Randolph is frequently sought out across the state for her expertise and asked to speak and to train. And as a reminder, I know we talked about it last year, but having 0 findings in an FPM review, fewer than 5% of the districts in the state of California have that happen. And it certainly is a tribute to her hard work and her expertise, as well as her entire team. And then I just want to thank again the advisory group. Putting in time for 2 years plus to create a document is really commitment to our students. And so I really applaud all of those individuals for their work and their effort and the longevity of the plan. So thank you to everyone. So Dr. Jay Rallian is our principal of early childhood education programs in the district. We appreciate all the work that he does, and he'll be giving our presentation on universal pre-K this evening.
Thank you. Good evening. So hello. To mention our pre-K program, the universal pre-K, we will make sure that it is aligned with our district's vision. We will be the district of choice to successfully prepare every student for college, career, and life. It will be aligned with our mission to inspire and nurture every student one opportunity at a time. And of course, it will be aligned with our values: relationships, inclusion, equity, respect, teamwork, excellence, innovation, kindness, and service. Now, what is Universal Pre-Kindergarten, UPK? UPK creates a system of educational program choices for families of full 4-year-old children in California. And it's going to be a mixed delivery system. So the state defines it as the following items: Universal Transitional Kindergarten, UTK, which should be fully implemented by 2025-2026, the California State Preschool Program, also known as CSPP, the Head Start Program, and subsidized preschool programs in community-based organizations, including family childcare, and private preschool. Now, here at Desert Sands, we offer the top 3 choices for our parents in our community. UPK is part of the new Expanded Learning Opportunity Program that will be providing TK students with a full day and full year of learning opportunities, and these will be aligned with the needs of the parents in our community. As transitional kindergarten expands with the anticipated increase of 4-year-old children attending TK, the California State Preschool Program will have, of course, also Head Start, will have increased room in their enrollment, and will be able to increase the number of 3-year-old children that will be enrolled in the preschool program, meeting the needs of our community. Currently, 13% of 3-year-old children eligible for CSPP are enrolled. It is expected that with the expansion of the TK program, this percentage will significantly grow. Now let's talk about the implementation timeline. The type of requirement for eligibility. Currently, this year, every student, every child who turns 5 between September 2nd and December 2nd is eligible to attend TK. And the ratio wasn't specified, but the class size is of a maximum of 24 children. By the year 2022-2023, for this coming year, we will be accepting children who turn 5 between September 2nd and February 2nd. Now, the ratio will be 1 adult to 12 children. In other words, 1 teacher and 1 paraeducator or paraprofessional. The class size will remain at 24. For the year 23-24, we will extend the age, the birthday of our students by 2 months. So children who turn 5 between September 2nd and April 2nd will be eligible to attend TK. Now, our ratio, contingent on funding, will go to 1 adult to 10 children. Again, keeping the maximum size of 24. Now, for the year 2024-2025, again, 2 more months, extending their birthday. Every child who turns 5 between September 2nd and June 2nd is eligible to attend TK. We follow the same ratio of 1 adult to 10 students, a maximum of 24. And by 2025-2026, this should be the universal TK full implementation. So universally, every 4-year-old child will be able to attend TK by 2025-2026. And contingent on funding, we'll be able to have 1 adult to 10 children for, again, a class size of 25 students. Let's talk about the projection. The projected enrollment per fiscal year, and these numbers were provided by the California Department of Education. Currently, we have 385 students. By the year 2022 to 2023, 621. We're projecting to have approximately 713 in the year 2023, 2024. By 2024 to 2025, that number should increase to 838. And by the full implementation year of 2025, 2026, we will have 1,081 students. And let me just mention that Desert Sands has had full-day TK classrooms in every elementary school for the last 10 years. So this is expanding what we currently have. Now, for the type of facility, currently we have 19 classrooms. Based on the projected numbers given to us by the California Department of Education, we're expecting that by this year we'll have 30 classrooms. By 2023, 2024, 35 classrooms. 2024, 2025, 45. And again, by full implementation, 45 classrooms. Now, the staffing. Currently, we have 19 teachers throughout the district. By for this year, 2022-2023, we're expecting to have 30 TK teachers and 30 paraprofessionals or paraeducators, so 1 paraeducator per teacher. By 2023-2024, based on the projections, we will have 35 teachers and 70 paraprofessionals, which will be aligned to the 1 to 10 children that was presented earlier. By 2024-2025, 45 TK teachers, 80 paraprofessionals, and then the following year, when it's fully implemented, 45 TK teachers and 100 paraprofessionals in all our elementary schools. Now, the requirements. All elementary teachers, including TK teachers, are required to have a multiple subject teaching credential. By the year 2023-2024, TK teachers also need to complete additional 24 units of early childhood education or have a child development permit, or we can determine the equivalency of 1 year experience. Now, the current TK teachers who have 24 units in the area of early education are grandfathered in the program. Now, the plan structure is organized into 5 focus areas. Focus area A, vision and coherence. B, community engagement and partnerships. C, workforce recruitment and professional learning. D, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. And focus area E, LEA facilities, services, and operations. Now, in focus area A, our vision and coherence, we at Desert Sands envision that UPK is going to be a part of a larger preschool through grade 3 continuum of programming. Now, we have full-day TK programs that will be offered at all elementary schools, increasing in enrollment eligibility through the full implementation of the year of 2025-2026. We will also continue to offer the California State Preschool Program and the Head Start Program. Now, the highlights in the focus area B for the community engagement and partnership. We value the input from our educational partners, and we seek to continuously collect input as the UPK implementation progresses. Now, we want to expand our existing partnerships and interaction with early education and childcare providers. We will continue to provide options for Desert Sands families that fit their needs, and we'll continue to have communication systems that will incorporate UPK options for 4-year-old children across the district. That will include the expansion of the TK program, the CSPP and Head Start program, the California State Preschool Program and Head Start programs, and the resources to access the different options for our families. Now, for Area C, the highlights for the workforce recruitment and professional learning, we will recruit, retain, and provide training for additional TK and early childhood program teachers. We will have professional learning opportunities that will help to create consistency across the preschool to grade 3 continuum of learning. Of course, we'll have universal design for learning. We will make sure we continue to have culturally and linguistically responsive teaching, inclusion, creating developmentally informed environments for all students. In focus area D, which has to do with the curriculum, instruction, and assessment, we will make sure that our UPK programs are aligned with the California Preschool Learning Foundations, which by definition are the standards that the preschool and TK teachers follow to teach their students. So it's like the equivalency of the Common Core State standards that the K through 12 teachers use. Preschool and TK teachers use the California Preschool Learning Foundations. And the curriculums are aligned to these foundations. And also the California Preschool Curriculum Frameworks, which by definition are these 2 pieces of information are developed by the California Department of Education to assist preschool and TK teachers and have more instructional ideas that are aligned with the foundations. Now, we'll continue to use of connected and aligned curricular materials between state preschool, Head Start, TK, and elementary grades. There'll be an incorporation of developmentally appropriate environments that support academic skills while also providing interactions that promote social emotional learning among our students. There'll be cross-departmental collaboration to align practices and strategies to create the pre-kindergarten to grade 3 continuum. Now, for area E, LEA facilities, services, and operations, our existing classrooms will be used to provide TK programs this coming year. Desert Sands Facilities Master Plan was updated this year, 2021-2022, and it includes the need for the expansion and transitional kindergarten and other UPK programming. TK students will participate in breakfast and lunch offerings in the continuing model. Now, the next slide shows the professional development plan for 2022-2023. There'll be 3 full-day professional development sessions for all our teachers, and we, as principals, will also participate in professional development in September. But the program facilitators will continuously support the teachers and paraeducators throughout the year. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions, Ms. Pierce?
Yes, I noticed on the ratio slide, under 23-24, when it switches from the 12 to 1 to 10 to 1, it mentions contingent on funding. Is the states come out with this? So what does that mean? They may not fund the 10 to 1, they may keep the 12 to 1, or like from now on it's our deal?
Well, no, I guess it depends on, they haven't given us enough information for that year that far. I mean, we know the funding, but we don't know.
It is contingent upon whether or not they decide to increase the funding. If they don't increase the funding, then the ratio doesn't change. If they do, correct.
Not like they're going to get rid of it, like it'll just drop out
No,
of
no,
sight.
no. It's just whether or not the ratio changes, yeah.
Okay, so the ratio would stay. And also, yeah, the sites and having room for it is a real concern. I know, like, I know, we may need a new bond in the future. We've done all these projections we're going to be looking at and seeing what different sites need. So would it be that these might have to start in portables or something? Or maybe that's Jordan's deal.
So CD's projection isn't as, I would say it's a lot more aggressive. They did one statewide, we do it more granular and look at district-specific information. Due to the decline, as you know from our last facilities master plan, we have about 2,000 plus of student capacity that we could house at our schools. Our facilities master plan did identify that 2 schools that over the 2030 to 2031 potentially will need space. And as Board Member Jonathan was mentioning, we are a district of choice or school of choice, so some of that also can be managed that way through school of residence and things like that. So our projections already include universal TK in them, and we'll, if the state's projection of 600 plus about 700 students happens, we'll definitely welcome that, but we'll continue to monitor that.
So that gives the room. Last question on the, for them to be the teacher, it said it grandfathered in teachers with 24 units, but I don't know where the comma went. It said they have to have 24 ECE course units and a child development permit or a 1-year experience. That means they could go work at a preschool for 1 year and be given and not have to do the 24 units, or how does that work for their expertise?
So that's a great question. The credential aspect is we've been offered multiple sort of pathways for essentially qualifications or credentialing. The first one you mentioned is 24 units specifically designed for transitional kindergarten. That's university classes that you would take and you'd finish with 24 units and a certificate. The other option is there's a grandfather option for those that have done it for a year and a half prior. In that TK role, they could be grandfathered in and get their authorization or certification that way. And then there's another option that we just discovered, and that's it's just actually passed by the CTC and the state, and that's those with early childhood development credentials, preschool teacher credentials will be able to provide TK instruction.
Oh, when I toured COD, they have that wonderful. Maybe we get people from there. They go through that ECE training, so that's a good pathway for us. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Porras.
Hi, Dr. Rallian. It's always great to see you.
Same to you.
Well, you did such a great job. Every time I was thinking of a question, you would answer it with the next page. So this is a great presentation.
Well, I got to give credit to Mr. Woolheit.
Yeah, exactly. But I just wanted to ask you that for Head Start, they're 3 years old. Is that the youngest that you start?
Right now, yes.
Okay, and then it's eventually just going to be every 4-year-old, so.
Yes, so it has started in the state preschool. We'll continue to have the 3-year-olds
Okay.
because the 4-year-olds will go to TK.
I think the idea there is it makes more room in our state preschool and Head Start because the 4-year-olds now move into the TK classrooms, leaving more spaces for 3-year-olds in our state preschool and Head Start programs.
Ms. Jonathan?
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I think that it'll be interesting because obviously this means there'll be a demand on teachers because I see the teaching, the demand for how many teachers we will need is going up exponentially. And I'm sure that hopefully we won't have a problem filling those positions. But I wanted to say I'm just so glad to see this because statistics show that any young person that has gone through some kind of preschool program tends to excel in future years in school. And I think that we're giving all those students this opportunity, and not everybody has had this opportunity or has had to spend the money for private schools. So I'm so glad to see this for us going in this direction, because I think that it puts everybody on a equal footing when they start school.
Thank you. I do like this program. We're still going to offer preschool, Head Start, UPK, and TK. It is going to be a big help to the parents in our community because it is hard to find, where to place them. And the fact that all of these will be full day, that's amazing. I do know that our schools will have to be, there's a lot of, like, for example, they each have to have a bathroom, so there's going to be a lot of juggling around in the schools. So I think that gives us some time to prepare for that, but it's amazing we can get 700 students. That would be great. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 14, public hearing. There is none. 15, public comment on open session items. Let me go ahead and get these. Communications from the floor. In accordance with bylaws of the Board 9323, time is reserved for oral communications by members of the Board of Education or by citizens present. Citizens wishing to be heard on agenda items shall have a 3-minute limit and should indicate their intention at this time. In accordance with the law, decisions of the Board cannot be made on any matter not previously published before the Board meeting, as indicated in bylaws of the Board 9323.2. First up is Catherine Silvera.
Good evening. I first want to address the LCAP Goal 3.3 regarding the counseling service and behavioral health. The American School Counselor Association recommends a student-to-counselor ratio at 250 to 1. During the pandemic, it was obvious that our students' mental health needs to be a priority. However, this is not reflected in our LCAP. As written, this goal will have a counselor-to-student ratio of 500 to 1 in middle school, 400 to 1 in high school, and only one full-time counselor at each elementary school, which is about 600 students for one counselor. No teachers, paras, and school staff, as well as us parents and students, can tell you that the number of counselors is just not enough. We can see through our students' trauma through their behaviors. Counselors are vital. Teachers know that when a student is stressed, anxious, upset, they cannot learn. Being able to have a counselor physically available to address these issues directly correlates with academic success. One counselor for the entire elementary school is just not enough. Many of these counselors, when not in IEPs, SSTs, or other meetings, are being pulled from their offices and duties to fill in as substitutes when they cannot be found. The LCAP should contain SMART goals that are attainable, but these goals should also be pushing our district to strive for better, not to remain stagnant. It is also clear that we need staff. With every new day comes another new email with various job postings available throughout the district. No department is more in need than the special education department. This is not a unique situation across the nation. Special education teachers are just leaving the field. I was hoping that when reading the budget, I would find how this district would be addressing this issue, and I did not. This district does have a sign-on bonus for new SPED teachers, but we do not address the core reason why our teachers are leaving. The LCAP nor budget reflects ways that we will add support to our current SPED educators and paras who are overworked, underfunded, and unrealistic caseloads. In our budget, we see a small increase in salary, but a considerably larger increase in management and administration. We don't need more admin, we need boots on the ground. But lastly, I would like to thank the district for finding a way to hold a special election for the vacant seat in the least expensive way. I would like to thank our 4 board members for your dedication and service since May. It is very difficult to run a board down one person. You've done it with grace, professionalism, and leadership. Superintendent Bailey, you were always available for phone calls, answered all my emails, guided us through the hardest years the public education have seen, and you personally made sure that me and my family had COVID tests when it inevitably hit our household. So thank you for all of your time and dedication as a parent, as an educator. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Nicholas Rose.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, members of cabinet. I just wanted to say there's a couple MOUs on tonight's agenda, and I wanted to thank Dr. Hyde and Jordan kind of for those MOUs, and I just wanted to highlight how functional this table has been. We met on May 24th. Our members met on a Thursday after school had let out to ratify, and now these MOUs are here before you tonight. So literally a three-week process for our 2 teams to come together, talk about some issues that were important, including the LVN parasigner contracting out, and then Jordan brought us a new medical plan that can save our members on their medical plans for next year. And it just shows that at the table here at Desert Sands, with our classified staff and members of the district's team, we're always looking to make it a better situation. That, you know, the labor market, inflation, all the concerns that are out there, I feel like Desert Sands has really kind of put the walls up, have worked at the table to say, like, it's not happening here, that we are taking care of our staff, we're taking care of our folks. And I just wanted to really highlight that I'm proud as our classified chapter president to be able to work with Dr. Hyde and Jordan and everyone on the district's team. I'm looking forward to coming to the table tomorrow to continue our negotiations for 2022 and 23. And again, we're talking about COLA increases, we're talking about reclasses, we're just talking about making Desert Sands a place where classified staff want to be. That when you have that loyalty, when you have that buy-in, when you can create that stress-free environment for our custodians, our paraeducators, nutrition services staff, just everybody that's out there behind the scenes, that shows in our student services. It shows in what we can provide to our students. It shows in the support we can provide to our teachers so that they can do what they do best, right? That when bills are paid, when classrooms, facilities look great, our groundskeepers and maintenance staff, when everything is operating, that's how we can all feel good about coming to work every day. So I just appreciate what this means, right? When you see Starbucks is trying to unionize, Amazon is trying to unionize, I just appreciate school districts, and especially here, showing that we can do it right, showing what it means, why it's important, and I'm looking forward to being back at the table tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. I have next, I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce your last name correctly, Chris Kaplinsla?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Klopinski, a parent of 2 students who have graduated from Palm Desert High School. I'm here today to ask the board to consider naming the field at Palm Desert High School, baseball field, after Coach Darryl Salazar, who has recently retired. I am a product of Coach Salazar, first graduating class in 1989, on to the University of California at Berkeley. And what I have learned in the last 10, 12 years helping Coach Salazar coach the team at Palm Desert High School is his dedication, determination, and his willingness to put himself aside for the team and for the betterment of the student athletes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Rich Warfield.
I'd like to start by thanking you all for what had to be just 2 years of absolute chaos. I too am a father of 3 daughters that went through Desert Sands Unified School District, so thank you very much for what you've done for them. I too am here to speak to the renaming of the field after Coach Salazar. Can't think of anyone more deserving. 36 years as the head baseball coach, 689 wins, 21 league titles, 2 CIF titles, 5 CIF finals, 9 drafted out of high school, 28 totally drafted, 2 big leaguers who you just humbly heard from that didn't even mention it, Mr. Klipinski being one. His legacy continues today with several hundred of his students still roaming our Coachella Valley being productive citizens. He's taught them more than just the game of baseball. He's even coached some of the sons of the players that played for him. A high school coach enters the lives of his players at a very influential time. High school years are both difficult, and some of the decisions that can be made are both good, bad, and life-changing. Coach Salazar wasn't just a baseball coach or an athletic director. He was a mentor, a confidant, a supportive shoulder to lean on, and a surrogate father to several young boys. There could be no better person more deserving of this honor than the man who used this field to win baseball games and develop character in so many young men. I ask that you consider renaming the stadium. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dennis Sink.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us and listening to the Palm Desert folks tonight about Coach Salazar. Since Coach Salazar announced his retirement this year, Palm Desert High School office has been inundated with requests for all kinds of things to name after Mr. Salazar. But we would appreciate that you consider naming the baseball field at Palm Desert Salazar Field. What you should know is that Coach Salazar himself is a product of Desert Sands, graduate of Indio High School, and came back here to serve for over 40 years in a capacity that has been very, very special to a lot of young men, but also as the principal, I got to see firsthand his impact on all students at lunchtime, in between classes, doing his inspirational talks to people during office hours, all of those things. His success, as you're going to hear from everybody, is unparalleled in this valley, but his real impact is what he had on the culture of Palm Desert High School. And, he will be missed, but we would like to see his name every day. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Chris Underwood.
Good evening. My name is Chris Colbert. I'm currently the athletic director and assistant principal at Rancho Mirage High School. I'm not in Desert Sands. I've never been in Desert Sands. I've been right next to Desert Sands. Before I was at Rancho Mirage High School for 21 years, I was at Palm Springs High School. I both coached and was the athletic director. Palm Desert High School could not have made a better choice than to hire Coach Salazar as their first, and until recently, only baseball coach. He built a program that has become the envy of the Coachella Valley and has cemented Palm Desert High School as one of the top baseball programs in Southern California. His program has won many championships, both league and CIF. Players in his program have gone on to play at all levels of baseball beyond high school. These achievements are tremendous and they deserve proper credit, but they are not what makes his program special. The baseball program at Palm Desert High School is special because Darryl has done and continued to do what all great coaches have done: focus on individual skills, commitment to others in the team, and most of all, a commitment to making sure that young men understand the importance of great character. Darryl's teams are special. His program is special, not for the achievements, but for consistently demanding that all his players play the game with the respect for themselves, for the game, and for their opponents. This focus on individual character is the most important trait of great coaches and the most difficult way to run a program. It's far easier not to focus on character as it is much more nebulous and difficult to define. But great coaches always do, and it is a huge reason why their programs are distinctive. Great players come and go. Great teams come and go. Great coaches remain because they never waver from their core beliefs. Darryl Salazar is such a coach. And by being so, he has made Palm Desert High School and Desert Sands Unified a destination for players and coaches who want to work with and work for and play for the very best. I can think of no honor more deserving and more appropriate than to name the baseball stadium at Palm Desert High School after Coach Salazar. On a personal note, my family had the great honor of having Carpinteria High School's baseball program and their stadium named after my father, who worked at Carpinteria High School for many years, just like Coach Salazar did. And we were very excited about that honor and very appreciative of getting it. The one problem was that the presentation was made 9 months after he passed away. And so if you have the chance to do this for somebody like Daryl, I ask that you do it while he has plenty of chance to enjoy it and be recognized. And there's nothing better that you could do for Desert Sands Unified than to name the stadium after Daryl Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. Calderwood, and I apologize for reading your name wrong. And next is Mr. Teg Diffie.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, cabinet, Superintendent Bailey. My name is Teg Diffie. I'm currently assistant principal at Palm Desert High School, and I am here to voice my support of Palm Desert High School's proposal to rename the baseball facilities in honor of Coach Salazar. I had the good fortune of first being acquainted with Coach Salazar back in 1986 as an incoming sophomore to that new little school that was built over there on Cook Street. I was a 15-year-old coming in with a bag full of bad ideas and wrong decisions, and I was determined that I was going to use them all before I exited. Fortunately for me, Coach Salazar is a kind, forgiving, caring, and most importantly, a firm believer in second chances. Lord knows I used more than my share of second chances. Thankfully, though I gave him many opportunities and justified reasons to, he did not terminate my privilege of being a student athlete, which allowed my journey as a student athlete to continue into college. Where I graduated in 1995, I had good fortune again of returning to Palm Desert High School, where I got to coach with Daryl Salazar. And I continued to learn from him, where he basically became my mentor. And I got to see how he related to his kids, how he related to the players, his love of Palm Desert High School and the Aztecs and the culture, his impact on everything was immeasurable. But I also realized at that point that my relationship with him, how our relationship wasn't unique. I saw that he's had this profound impact on hundreds, if not thousands of players between football and baseball. He was also a football coach in the beginning. So then just fast forward to 2019, where I was assigned to my current position at the high school. I got to work with him on a more professional level as a colleague. And his love of Palm Desert High School is not isolated to the athletics department. He truly cares about the culture of the school and everything that goes on. 36 years, you can't hardly describe what this man is and what the high school means to him. This is our opportunity to reciprocate what he meant to Palm Desert High School as he's retired now. I don't think you'll find a more deserving candidate in Desert Sands to have a facility named in his honor. And I hope you consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Nellie Carbajal.
Hi, can you hear me good? Okay. Well, good night. My name is Nellie. I'm a recent graduate from Palm Desert High School. And tonight I just want to give a special thanks. These 4 years have gone by very quickly, and I know the last 2 years have been difficult for everyone because of the pandemic. And I just want to thank everyone for also getting us through that hard time. To all of Desert Sands principals, assistant principals, I just wanted to say thank you. And thank you for Mr. Scott Bailey. We know of your retirement, and we will miss you a lot. Thank you for your great dedication, commitment, hard work, and great impact that you've had on each family. And last time I was here, I was in 8th grade, and I did a special community project of taking backpacks for the kids in Mexico. And this is my formal thank you. You helped me a lot through that process. And the kids still have their backpacks. I still get some updates on them, and it's just been very wonderful. And thank you so much for helping us with the project, like I said. And I just wish the best for you and your family, and you will always be in everyone's prayers, and we will miss you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, item number 16, Board and Superintendent comments. Ms. Pierce.
That's a tearjerker. Thank you for speaking, Nellie. That was very nice of you to come up and make a tribute to the people that had an impact on you, and especially for your project you did. That was very commendable. Gosh, 5 or 6 speakers on this field is really remarkable, and they had me at the first or second speaker. You know, I count 36 years and all that record. I mean, that's just amazing. I think that that kind of record and impact on so many students would warrant something like that. So I certainly hope that can happen. Also, I think that was it. I have to look at my notes. No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Porras?
Nellie, that was so amazing. I remember you when you came here and you were just this little girl with the backpacks with your mom. That was, so anyway, congratulations on your graduation, and that's really, anyway, that was really wonderful that you came up and spoke. So yeah, I went to school with Daryl. He was a senior when I was a freshman, so I'm a Raja, and yeah, he's pretty incredible. So definitely would support that. So it's really exciting. We did that for, I don't know if, well, anybody knows, but Coach Adams, we had Coach Adams at Indio High School when I was there, and he actually went to high school with my parents at CV. So I've known people in the Valley forever. I'm born and raised here in the Valley. So, but it is an honor to name something as significant as that, you know, after one of our wonderful coaches. And I'm sorry that your dad, you know, passed before he was able to enjoy that. So I agree with you. That's a wonderful, wonderful idea. So anyway, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Vice President Jonathan.
Yes, with regards to Daryl Salazar, my belief is that that's something we as a board will be voting on. So my suggestion is that at the end of our meeting that we add that onto our future agenda. So that takes care of that. I don't want to make any comments. We can comment at that time. I also spoke with my board members earlier today in closed session, and I would like to share with the public that it is with regret that I inform you of my resignation as a trustee for Desert Sands Unified School District Board of Education, Trustee Area 1, effective August 20th, 2022. The decision was not an easy one. I've been spending more time with my family, which has been preventing me from giving the district the time and attention that I'm accustomed to and that my constituents deserve. And it has truly been an honor to serve on the board these past 10 years. I am indebted to the staff and to the community for the support during my tenure. And although I'm resigning prior to the end of my term, it's my hope that the voters in my trustee area will have the opportunity to find my replacement. And by giving a 60-day notice, I'm hoping to minimize the impact on the operation of the school board and have my position added to the November ballot. This will avoid a special election, which would have resulted in a cost to the district. So thank you again for the privilege of serving the students in Desert Sands, giving me the privilege of serving the students in Desert Sands Unified School District for the past 10 years. It really has been a true honor of mine and something I will never forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jonathan. And before I start my comments, I have a brief statement I would like to read. The special election to fill the current vacancy in Trustee Area 2 will be consolidated with the November 8, 2022 election. Trustee Area 2 is scheduled for its regular election cycle on the November 8, 2022 ballot, so it will appear on the ballot twice, once as a short-term seat and once as a full term. The short-term seat will hold office from the election certification date to December 2nd, 2022. The full-term seat will take office on December 9th, 2022 for a 4-year term ending on December 4th, 2026. And as for my comments, thank you to everybody that was here tonight speaking on the field. Thank you, Nellie, for that warm thank you. That was very special. And I do remember when you were here in 8th grade with your mom. So, Superintendent Bailey, do you have any comments?
Certainly. Nellie, I was trying to keep my composure this evening on this, I think the 110th board meeting I've sat through. Thank you. That's all I'm going to say. Your Desert Sands family has to be almost as proud as your mother, who's seated next to you, Anna. Thank you for being here as well. I just want to say thanks again to the board for their confidence in me over the last, I think it's 5.3 years now. It's been very, very enjoyable and lots of memories created with my Desert Sands family. And as far as I'm concerned, you'll always be family, so thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 17. We're going to take the first 3 items individually. So item 17.1, General Functions Business Services. Is there a motion to approve item 17.1, Local Control Accountability Plan?
So moved, Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to approve item 17.1. Is there any discussion? I just want to take this time to thank everybody, staff, families, students, Ms. Wood, everybody that worked on this document. It was an immense undertaking, and we're finishing it just in time to start it over again. It's a vicious cycle, and I know you dream of it, and you have those letters on your nightstand. I saw the picture, LCAP, so I commend you. I want to thank everybody on that. Any other comments or any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item 17.2. We have the 2022-2023 budget adoption. Is there a motion to approve to adopt the 2022-2023 budget?
So moved, Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt the 2022-2023 budget. Is there any discussion? I want to say thank you, Mr. Aquino, and to your staff, to your department. I mean, this is massive undertaking. The amount of money that is listed here is amazing. And it is a job in itself just to keep us on the right road there. So is there any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item 17.3, it's resolution number 37/2021-2022, authorization to commit fund balances. Is there a motion to approve to adopt resolution number 37/2021-2022?
So moved, Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 37/2021-2022. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I just said that. Roll call. Ms. Pierce.
Aye.
Ms. Porras.
Aye.
Ms. Jonathan.
Aye.
And I vote aye. This motion carries 4-0. Okay. Now, there are 6 items left in general function business services. Is there a motion to take items 17.4 through 17.9 as a group or individually?
So moved, Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to take items 17.4 through 17.9 as a group. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. Okay, moving on to item 18, general functions, educational services. There are 19 items in general functions, educational services. Is there a motion to take items 18.1 through 18.19 as a group or individually?
We take 18.1 to 18.19 as a group.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to take them as a group, item 18.1 through 18.19. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to comment that I really am glad to see some of these intro and different level classes going to be offered: cosmetology, criminal justice, beginning mariachi, cheerleading, dance, esports, which is very popular now, and sports application, a more intense PE course. I think that's great that we're offering those kind of trainings right at our schools.
I know I was in a meeting a couple of years ago with some high school students, and they were asking for cosmetology. That seemed to be a focus of a lot of the teenagers, so I'm glad it finally came to fruition and that we're not just one class, but all levels. So, and is it my
I have a quick question. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I do have a quick question with regards to the cosmetology classes. Will that give them some kind of certification, or will they have to go through the certification that they have to normally through the their boards when they take their boards?
Now, that's a great question, Mrs. Jonathan. Actually, they do get certification credits at each level of the course. They get awarded so many hours that are required to get the certificate. So with each level, they get a certain number of hours. So that does assist them in getting that overall certificate.
Wonderful, thank you.
So then all they would have to do then is take the state license to be licensed?
You know, I would have to have Mr. Bebo write us up a complete explanation of what that looks like, but I could do that in a Friday letter. Yep.
That was going to be my question. And another part of that, so my understanding that any student in the district can take these courses, correct?
That's correct. It'll be just like the program at Amistad, where we've got the automotive, the HVAC, and the construction pathway. Students can go from all of our schools. It'll be the same way with this cosmetology program.
I can imagine this one will be, and it will, yeah, it will be very popular. It's wonderful. Okay. Moving on to item 19, general functions, personnel services. And we did pull 19.9. So let me just make sure we put that in here.
Did we vote on the last one? I don't think that we actually voted. We had comments, but I don't know if we actually voted.
I am so good. I'm just like, okay. All right. So going back to 18, are there any further comments? We got the questions. All right. Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. I think we just got excited about those classes. This level of excitement for a while. Okay. Now we're moving on to item 19, general functions, personnel services. There are 8 items now. And is there a motion to take items 19.1 through 19.8 as a group or individually?
I move that we take 19.1 through 19, what is it? 0.8? Yeah, because of pulling 19.9 as a group. Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to take items 19.1 through 19.8 as a group. Is there any discussion? Hearing none calls for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item 20, General Function Student Support Services. There's only one item. Is there a motion to approve 20.1 Independent Contractor Agreement with LA Speech Pathology Services Incorporated?
So moved, Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to approve items 20.1. Is there any discussion? Hearing none calls for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item 21, General Functions Superintendent. No. All right, 21.1, Resolution Number 38/2021-2022, Order of Election of Desert Sands Unified School District of Riverside County, California. In accordance with California Education Code 5340, the County Superintendent of Schools is providing notice to the governing boards of school and community college districts that a consolidated election is required to be held on November 8, 2022. Resolution number 38/2021-2022, Order of Election of Desert Sands Unified School District of Riverside County, California, is necessary to meet the requirements of Education Code Section 5304, Section 5322, and Section 5340. Executed copies of this resolution are to be submitted concurrently to the Riverside County Superintendent of Schools and the Registrar of Voters at least 123 days prior to the election day of November 8, 2022. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 38/2021-2022?
Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to approve it. Yeah. Resolution number 38/2021-2022. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, as this is a resolution, it calls for a roll call vote. Ms. Pierce?
Aye.
Ms. Porras?
Aye.
Ms. Jonathan?
Aye.
And I vote aye. This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item 22, consent item, student matters. Superintendent Bailey.
Yes, thank you. I have 4 items that pertain to closed session agenda item 3.1. Tonight in closed session, the board took action to approve the following student matters. Item 22.1, stipulated expulsion number 21/22-80. This item was approved on a motion by Mrs. Pierce, seconded by Mrs. Porras. Motion carried 4-0. Second item is 22.1, stipulated expulsion, number 21/22-81. This item was approved on a motion by Mrs. Pierce, seconded by Mrs. Porras. Item carried 4-0. Next item, 22.3, stipulated expulsion, number 21/22-90. This item was approved on a motion by Mrs. Pierce, seconded by Mrs. Porras. Item carried 4-0. And last item is 22.4, expulsion case number 21/22-85. This item was approved on a motion by Mrs. Pierce, seconded by Mrs. Porras. Item carried 4-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 23, consent items, business services. There are 7 items in consent items, business services. Is there a motion to take items 23.1 to 23.7 as a group or individually?
I move that we take them as a group. Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to take items 23.1 to 23.7 as a group. Is there any discussion? Well, I want to thank everyone for their donations. I was just amazed to see the donation to the Indio High School FFA program of $32,000. I actually had to go back and double check to make sure it wasn't a typo and maybe it was $3,000, but the donation was from the Friends of the Date Festival. So I know that the Indio High School FFA program will really make good use of that money, so thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item 24, consent items, educational services. There are 8 items in consent items, educational services. Is there a motion to take items 24.1 through 24.8 as a group or individually?
4.1 to 24.8.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to take them 24.1 through 24.8 as a group. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on, 25, consent items, personnel services. There are none. Item 26, consent items, student support services. There are 4 items in consent items, student support services. Is there a motion to take items 26.1 through 26.4 as a group or individually?
I move that we take 26.1 to 26.4 as a group.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to take items 26.1 through 26.4 as a group. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item 27, consent item, superintendent. Is there a motion to take consent items 27.1 and 27.2 as a group or individually?
That we take them as a group.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to take items 27.1 and 27.2 as a group. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to 28, personnel action certificated. Dr. Hyde, do you have any items?
Yes, I actually have a number of blind appointments to announce. So I'll start with 28.1, item number 13. I'm very pleased to announce that Catherine Burling is being recommended for the position of principal of Jefferson Middle School. Item 14, Richard Romero. We're glad to and pleased to recommend him for the position of assistant principal at La Quinta Middle School. We're also, item number 15, pleased to recommend Mike Kint to the position of Senior Director of Elementary Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. And I think I need to correct what I said, Senior Director of Elementary Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. Item number 16, we're pleased to recommend David Gustafson to the position of Senior Director of Secondary Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. And then item 17, we're pleased to recommend Marcia Abbott to the position of Prevention and Intervention Psychologist. Item 18, again, recommending Angelica Espinoza to the position of Prevention and Intervention Psychologist. And then finally, item 19, we're very pleased to announce and to recommend Gracilia Sanchez to the position of Psychologist.
That is a list, yes. All right, 28.1, certificated personnel. Is there a motion to approve item 28.1, certificated personnel as listed?
So move, Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to approve item 28.1. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Hyde, do you have anything that you want to share with us as far as retirements?
Certainly, Mrs. Jonathan. I'm excited to announce that our retirements in the certificated agenda represent over 53 years of combined service to Desert Sands Unified School District.
Any other items? Any other discussions? Okay. Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? This motion carries 4-0. Moving on to item 29, personnel actions classified. Dr. Hyde, do you have any items?
I do. I have a couple of appointment recommendations. The first, obviously under 29.1, item number 16, I'm very pleased to recommend Vanessa Aguilar to the position of mental health therapist. I'm also very pleased to recommend item number 17, Monica Padilla Ayala to the position of mental health therapist.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve item 29.1, classified personnel as listed?
So moved, Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
It has been moved and seconded to approve item 29.1, classified personnel. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Hyde, would you like to share anything regarding classified personnel?
Absolutely. Not to leave our amazing classified group out, we have one retirement with a total service of 15 years to Desert Sands. So thank you very much.
Any other comments? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? I will be abstaining. This motion carries 3-0. 1. Moving on to item 30, call out of closed session action. Superintendent Bailey.
We have none.
Item 31, suggestions for future agendas that receive at least 3 votes. Are there any suggestions, Ms. Pierce?
No, not at this time.
Ms. Porras?
I just want to suggest for our future agenda to name the baseball field after Coach Salazar at Palm Desert High School.
Do we have at least 3 votes?
And I'm raising my hand. I'm very happily raising my hand.
And I vote yes, so we do have the 3 nods there. All right, Ms. Jonathan, do you have any items?
No, Miss Poor stole that one from underneath me, but that's okay. Thanks.
All right, and I have none. So moving on to item 32, announcements. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education will be on Tuesday, July 19th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the District Education Center Boardroom at 47950 Dune Palms Road, La Quinta, California. Item 33, well, just one last announcement. We're going to be so sad to see you go, Mr. Bailey, but we understand that you got to go and live life.
I just have to say, in the memory or words of Gary Tomac, you made it to the finish line. And yes, you are definitely going to be missed. And anyway, yeah, I don't want to cry, so.
All righty, then we will move on to item 33, reconvene to closed session if needed. We do not. So 34, adjournment. This meeting is adjourned at 9:07 p.m. Thank you and good night.